Hello, world. Hello. How are you this Tuesday evening? I hope you are all really, really well. I'm going to hold fire while a few people drop on, and if they don't, I will just keep talking because Facebook might still be playing up. Now, I want to just take a moment before we start for you to admire my lashes and brows because it's been lashes and brows day today. So I have I'll get my glasses on now. Um, I've been to Amble, to Kay's, the lovely Kay at Beauty Queen in Amble, and there is no affiliation here. She is not paying me for saying that on my Facebook account. I'm just going to move the light, that's catching on my glasses a bit. So for those of you that don't know me and wondering what I'm babbling on about, I'm Mandy Nicholson, and I am a creative genius consultant, and I help innovative female entrepreneurs to launch or develop their successful creative business. I basically pull you out of the corners where you're hiding and help you to make more money. That's my job, and that's my mission in life. Makes me very happy to do that. And each week on here on a Tuesday evening, I like to share free training with my audience on different topics every single week. So tonight's topic, and I hope that you can hear me all right. If anyone drops on, give me a thumbs up, please, if you can hear what I'm saying quite clearly. When I'm producing my social media content, I look at the full week and like to theme it and give you loads of information and loads of content in that area so that you can take something away over the week and use it in your life or business. Because I have that knowledge and I have that skill, and I'm quite happy to share that with my audience. Drop me, just give me a thumbs up or say hello if you can hear me okay. Otherwise, I'm keeping talking. So I've got notes tonight, so if you see me glancing down, it's because I'm looking at my notes. There's quite a lot in this. I could talk without notes, completely and utterly free from them for an hour on this topic because I am a master of planning and productivity. I have mastered the to-done list, and I like to call it my to-done list because I really hate a to-do list. I think it's one of those things that hangs in the background shouting at you, you've still got tasks to do. And I just don't use that terminology in my life because I like to set an intent and set an action and just do it. So that's why I have my to-do list. And I want to focus tonight on the methods that I use that you can apply in your life or your business, predominantly in your business, because my objective is to help you creative ladies to plan better in order to give you more free time so that you can be more productive in your life and your business. So that's the objective of this live training tonight. I hope you're all okay. I don't know what the weather's like near you. I know it's awful in the whole of the UK. It's snowing here. However, despite the snow, I had a letter from the school today telling me how well my son is doing, congratulating him, saying he's in the top 3 of students that have improved the most. So we've treated him to a takeaway tonight. So I did drive to Alnwick to pick up a takeaway for the family tonight. So I'm really full. So sorry if I fall asleep halfway through this. Anyway, let's get on with planning and organisation. Yesterday's post, I shared with you that I absolutely love my diary. Okay, and I mean I love my diary, and it's my mentor that guided me towards this particular diary, the Laws of Attraction diary. Oh, it's so sexy. I really get overly excited by a diary, but it's probably the most important thing that I sit and spend time with in my working week. And the first thing that goes into my diary for the following week is my diary planning time. It's my time to have a really nice pen in hand and to sit and to plan everything. Hi, Catherine. To sit, can you hear me okay, Catherine? Give me a thumbs up or say hi. To sit and plan exactly what I'm going to do in the following week. Now, I have a monthly plan, I've got a yearly plan, but I only plan a week in advance because things can change for me so quickly with Gary's health. So I make sure. So I wanted to just give you a brief look. I don't know how well you can see that. You don't need to see the detail. I'm going to waft it past the screen. Thank you, Catherine. Yeah, that, you see all the different colours in there. I'm going to cover that tonight. So that's my diary, the love of my life and what keeps me on track. There is something about writing in a diary that I think makes you commit to the action more so than anything else. It does with me. I don't know what works with you. If you've got a technology system that works for you, that gives you that same feeling of control and vision, then that's great. But for me, I'm talking about my diary. I can only ever talk about me. I can't talk about you and give you tips based on what I do. So I love my diary. It's the action of writing things down and planning things. Now, the first thing I always look at, and I split my planning into 3 areas when I'm planning my diary. I don't need to look at notes for this. I'm just trying to not lose anything. And I split my planning into 3 areas, and there will be posts about this throughout the week. The must-dos, the things that absolutely must happen the following week. And these are going in there and they're not going to change. So I start with, and you think that would be big things, wouldn't you? Well, the first thing that goes into my diary every single week before anything else is dog walks. Because every single day I get up at 6 a.m. and I walk my dog 7 days a week. And I walk him at lunchtime and in the evening. So unless my teenage son helps me some evenings, that's one of the rocks, that's one of the must-dos that goes into my diary. What goes in next is meditation and gratitude for me, because after the dog walk, I always go down to the beach with him. I'm very lucky. I live 60 seconds from the beach in the car. So we drive down to the beach and me and him go for a really nice long walk in the dark with the headlamp on. I look amazing in the mornings, guys. And then when I get back to the car, I sit for 10 minutes and that's where I do my meditation and gratitude. That's for me a must do every morning because it starts to set my mindset for the day. Then I go back home and I do my morning chores, such as making lunches for teenagers that are still at school and just tidying up the house, getting things organized, a bit of self-care, so showering, getting myself ready. That's all must-dos for me. It's important because it sets my day up. That goes in my diary. It's really important. That's my exercise, my self-care, my mission, my gratitude. I'm ready to start work once I've done that. Okay, then there's the should-dos. I mean, there's more must-dos than that. That's not the only thing I do in a week, obviously. But things like hospital appointments, things like meetings that can't be changed, they're the must-dos and they go in first. Then there's the should-dos. So these still need to be done and I should do them, but they're not fixed in stone to that particular day. I could move them into the next day or 2 days away and it wouldn't be a disaster for my business or for my life. So they're not as high priority as the must-dos. I can't move the dog walk into the next day. He'd be devastated, wouldn't I, if I didn't walk him? And then there's the nice to-dos, the things that I'd like to get done that week, but that if I don't get done, it won't be an absolute disaster. So that's how I prioritize it. And I traffic light them. I'm an ex-retailer. I traffic light everything. So the must-dos are reds. They're the things that must happen. They're red, the high priority. The should-dos are amber. They're important. And if I can move them to red and if I can make sure I get them done, great. And the greens are things that I can move even into the following week. So red, amber, green. Keep it simple. What works for you? That might not work for you. I'm telling you what works for me. So that's how I plan my diary. So when I wafted it in front of the screen there, that might make more sense then. You can see lots of red. Don't know whether you can see the ambers and the greens. The nice to-dos are here. That's my nice to-do list. So I even put having fun in there and family time. They're all important to have into that planning. So I sit down every single week and I plan that diary in that much detail. And that is my driving force for the week. It helps me to consider what's important. And this is where the mentality of the to-done list sits there. So I knew I had a load of red things to do in Monday and Tuesday of this week. And I almost sacrifice a couple of days to that and say, right, okay, let's try and get through all of this red stuff as early as possible. So obviously not the daily reds, just so that I know that the rest of the week I can work on the shoulds and nice to do's. And that makes my week feel better and feel more productive. So that's the reasoning I use, where it's all a psychological thing. Mindset is 90% of absolutely everything we do. So if in your mind your week is planned, including your self-care, your meditation, your exercise in your diary, you've got it highlighted in order of priority, and you get the bulk of the really high priority stuff done on a Monday and Tuesday, by Wednesday, you're feeling a bit more relaxed and that you can lean into your week and actually get some shoulds and nice to do's done. So I'm hoping to go and have coffee with a friend I haven't seen for a while by the weekend, because I've got days where I've got more should do's than must do's. And it's a mindset managing tool for me, as well as a planning and productivity tool. It's not the only tool that I use, but it's one of the main ones. My next tip is, and I talked about it in my post yesterday, for those of you that didn't see it, is about downtime. I hate downtime, time where you've got nothing to do. So I approach downtime as a time that is a gift for me to actually score something off my list of things to do, put them onto my to-done list, and bring more of the nice to-dos into my life. So I use downtime like an art. So I look at the potential pockets of downtime that I might have. So let's explain downtime. For me, a dog walk, it's physical activity, it's getting me out in the fresh air, but it's also downtime. What can I do during that walk? I'm not having a conversation with my dog. He's running around burying things and digging up sand. He's quite happy. So I download and I listen to audiobooks while I'm walking the dog. Now, bearing in mind I walk the dog for an hour and a half a day, I can get through 2 audiobooks a week just on dog walks. Sorry. And what that does, that's my own personal development. That's part of my self-care plan, reading and keeping myself up to date with things and making sure that I'm constantly bringing in knowledge to help me be better in life and business. So that half hour of downtime on dog walk, for me, I utilize it with something productive, something that's going to help me, that's going to help me to grow. Because when you're not growing, you're dying. You should never, ever not do anything. So that's one of my areas of downtime. And it's similar if I'm in the shower, I can actually play my audiobook while I'm in the shower. I spend a lot of time at the hospital with my husband. So whenever I know we're going to the hospital, even if we've got to go quite urgently, I always take with me, love your fur baby time. I know it's really good fur baby time for downtime. Thanks, Catherine. So when I go to the hospital, and I'm quite regularly there with Gary, even for just regular checkups and appointments, I take 3 things with me. I take my diary, I take this notebook that's got all sorts of great stuff in it, and I take my laptop. So if I know I'm going to be sitting, and sometimes, a review day at the hospital for my husband is 6 to 7 hours of tests and reviews. So we're not with a consultant all that time. He's in getting tests. So I've got 6 to 7 hours of working time where I'm sitting at the hospital. So I look at tasks that I can do in the time that I'm there, and I make maximum use of that downtime. So although I might not be physically at work, I can still do work-related tasks. And I always have a list of those things that I can do if I know we're going to be at hospitals or at appointments. And that includes driving to these places in the car, where Gary's quite happy sitting next to me on his phone. I put my earphones in and listen to my audiobooks. And that's just about looking at every opportunity. There's a little bit of space in the afternoon around 4:30 till 5:30 where the teenagers are in the bedrooms and Gary's usually doing bloke stuff. And that's an hour where I'll just go, right, I'm going to write for an hour. I'm going to do an article, or I'm going to write a bit of my book, or I'm going to do this. I look at downtime as a gift and look at where I can find pockets of it within my working week and make maximum use. That for me is about productivity. It's about pulling tasks in so that I can free up future days and future weeks and get more stuff done. So that's my top tip number one. Use your downtime really, really effectively, because it's one of the biggest gifts you have in life. Just looking at my notes here, making sure I picked everything up there. One of the things I don't do, and I want to talk to you ladies about this, because I'm going to give you a scolding for this. I want to talk to you about multitasking. I do not multitask. I don't want you to multitask. It's wrong. It doesn't do you any good. And here's why. If you are constantly multitasking, which means you are focusing on more than one thing at once, and that goes for having all those tabs open on your computer as well, ladies and gents, if there's any watching. Yeah, when you are multitasking, you are actually degrading your IQ by about 10 points, because the impact it has on your brain is really detrimental. It's known, and there's been studies done on this multitasking things that loads of women talk about in a positive way. Yeah, multitasking is one of the biggest causes of stress, depression, and anxiety, because you're not completing things, you're focusing on 3, 4, 5 things at once. It leads to feelings of frustration. It can cause you excessive anger. Let me check my notes here, make sure I've picked everything up that I want to say. It actually harms our brain in the areas of cognitive responses, yeah, which really scares me. Memory problems, both in the short term, current memory, and in the long term, and actually can have a leading to, in old age, dementia, and can be quite a big contributor to those sorts of diseases. It can cause you chronic stress. I'm just looking at my notes again. This is really important. This is why I wrote them down, and I wanted to sort of jot that. It can give you the loss of the ability to determine what is important. So if you're multitasking and you're doing all these things, it can actually impact on your ability to prioritize properly. So what women have constantly said for years has been a skill for them can actually be really detrimental. And what's the one thing we criticize men for, ladies? Focusing on one thing at a time. Well, I'm going to tell you that's what you should be doing. So I'm really careful in my planning. This is why I have this red, amber, and green planning process. The red things are red for a reason, and I focus on that task till it's done. Then it's on the to-done list. Then I move on to the next task. I often don't reply to emails immediately, because I don't want to be distracted from the task at hand. This is how I get things done. Wow, didn't know this. Thanks for sharing, Natasha. No problem. Yeah, it's quite scary actually, the damage that this can do to you. So multitasking, forget it. One task at a time. Get it done. Put it on the to-done list. Prioritize your tasks. Red, green, and amber, however you want. My mentor uses rocks, pebbles, and sand. I use that in my trainings as well. It's a good way of, the rocks cannot be moved. They're in your diary and they're firm. Pebbles are the should do's, and sand are the nice to do's. Yeah. So give everything a priority, and don't try and do 10 things. You will never find me with all the tabs open on my computer or 6 jobs lined up. You'll find me with one job at a time. That's how I manage to get more done. You're actually more productive doing one thing at a time than you are trying to do 6 and not getting any of them complete. Because the feelings, think about the feelings that you have when I'm sure you've done it, when you yourself have done that. You've tried to be juggling. So Catherine's on here, maybe, and you've just started building a funnel whilst building your website, whilst watching the training, whilst writing a blog or an article. How frustrating does it feel when you get to the end of the day and none of those are finished? That's how detrimental that can be. And what that does, it carries over to the next day and into the whole week. So it's all about looking at what the priorities are and how you are going to approach them one bit at a time. So I could tell you, I've got a couple of stories that I'm going to tell you on posts throughout the week. So I'm not going to tell you them now. Yes, Catherine, I knew you'd feel that one. I definitely knew you'd feel that one. So I start with the planning of my diary. It's red, green, and amber. But there's a couple of things that I find really, really help me. And these are really important times for me in terms of planning and organisation and my own productivity. Now, I'm an artist, so I've got a visual for everything. So I called it my golden zone, my gold zone. So in the evening, I call it my gold zone, where we sit down as a family and we eat together and we talk about what we've done, what we're doing, how we're feeling, and then the teenagers go off to the rooms and don't speak to me again for like 24 hours. But that's important time for me. And that gives me a sense of happiness that I'm spending good time and listening time with my family. And that's as important to me than anything else. This is why I call it gold time. Then I'll spend some time with my husband, talking to him about what he's got planned and how he's feeling, etc. Then we might watch a bit of TV together. Then I know he's going to go on his nebulizer and the kids are in the bedrooms. Guess what that is? Downtime. Article comes out. I'll do some writing. That's okay because that's my choice. And then I've got all like a wind down routine. This is why it's called my gold zone. My gold zone is really important. And that is about me having some self care in the evening as well. So taking my makeup off, having a bath, maybe with some essential oils or something nice. We all do that, ladies. It's really important, that gold zone. And then getting into bed with my husband, reading my book while he reads his magazines or whatever, shooting magazines or whatever he's reading, whatever his bag is. Just having a chat while we're doing it and winding down for the evening and then getting 8 hours sleep. Now, why do I mention that? Because that helps me to wake up clear, really, really clear in the morning. Imagine that routine of winding down every evening in that way. And ask yourself how well you do that. You might do that really well already, and that's good. I then am able to wake up at 6 with the dog, take him out, do my audio, do my gratitude, do my meditation. It's a routine morning and night that's sandwiched either side of my day. So actually, I've just told you that wrong. The gold zone is my morning one. The violet zone is my evening one. That's me being really completely numpty and not reading my notes. So my gold zone is my morning with the dog. My violet zone is my evening routine. So I use the colours. I should know better. This is what you do when you're talking on here. I use the colours just because I associate colours with feelings. And it's one of the things I teach on my program. So my gold zone in the morning, that's really important to me. My violet zone in the evening, that's also really important to me. And then the planning that goes on in between, also really important to me. Stop laughing at me, whoever's laughing. That's because I've eaten way too much food from the takeaway. So why am I talking about this tonight? It is so important. One of the things that has been highlighted to me, particularly in my mentorship group that I'm working with at the minute, is, oh my God, Mandy, how do you get things done and execute so quickly and so effectively and so consistently? It's because everything gets planned in that much detail. So before coming on this live tonight, I'm going to talk you through my day today. In fact, yeah, I'll do that. I'll talk you through. See, so I don't know what I'm going to say till I come on here every night. I just babble on. But my day today consisted of, I got up, I did my gold zone, went out with the dog, did my meditation, listened to my audiobook, came back, made my son's bait, hoovered, tidied, got myself ready. I had people come in to sort some tiles out in the bathroom, so I knew they were coming. So I was working this morning, and I was dealing with some reds in my diary. I then went off to get my lashes and brows done because self-care Believe me, my lashes and brows appointments are red, and they are always in my diary, and I always book them every time I go. That's a real solid red for me. Same with hair appointments, because I think my own self-care is as important as the other work that I do. So I came back from my lashes and brows appointments, and I've sat since then and considered my content for next week for social media based on my intent. I've written that out of what I'm going to be talking to you about daily next week and what I'm going to be talking to you on the live next week. And I've sent that off to Nathan, who's my digital artisan, who does all my technology stuff, and he will create my posts. He'll actually create the posts. I write them all, give him the content, he'll create them and schedule them for me. So that was one of my reds. So my social media content for next week is already done. Done that today, off the to-done list. So in my diary this week, and yesterday I had a meeting all day. I was at MIBA Durham. Then I had a meeting with one of my peers, Sarah. So all my red stuff was blocked at the start of this diary, yeah, in the first 2 days. So when I hit tomorrow, I've got loads of should do's and nice to do's over the next 3 days because I've got the bulk of my work done. My ability to do that comes from, and this is a learned behavior, guys, and this is what I want to get in. This is learned behavior. Whatever you can learn, you can become great at. So when I was a divisional executive and a store manager, but I'm going to use the divisional executive example. And a divisional executive, I was with Summerfield at the time. I had 23 supermarkets. So I was the leader of these 23 supermarkets, all which had a manager and lots of staff in them. So when you're managing 23 sites, multi-site management, you are going to have problems on a daily basis. You're going to have a fire here, and you're going to have somebody that's experienced here that knows what they're doing and can deal with their own problems. And you've got to have a new manager here that doesn't know what they're doing, that you've got to visit more often than the manager that's experienced. And then a fire's going to break out here, and you've put the first fire out, and then you've got the other fire to go to while still nurturing your new managers. And then you've got some middle of the road managers, each and every one of them with their own issues and problems, skill sets, and areas that they need to develop in. And I had to approach that in a non-emotional, structured way, leaving time daily to be able to deal with problems, allocating tasks to the more senior managers, getting them to look after small bunches of managers. I had to approach it in such an organized way that I was able to live my life stress-free. Now that taught me a lot, a hell of a lot, but it is all a learned behavior. It's about the ability to compartmentalize, to look at things non-emotionally and say, right, okay, what really needs to be done? What's the most important thing? Who needs the most help? Yeah, how am I going to help them do it? Does it need to be me, or can it be somebody else if I delegate that? So it's about looking at everything. So I look at my life in the same way that I used to look at my division as a divisional executive. So, and you can do this too. So I'm the main breadwinner in this household. And in this household, I've got a husband who's sick, who needs quite a bit of hospital time. I've got a teenager at 15 years old that's autistic, that goes to school and is doing GCSEs this year. And I've got a 20-year-old daughter who's taking a gap year, working somewhere at the moment. She's working at Lush in Newcastle, but she struggles with anxiety and a few things. And I've got a nearly 13-year-old dog who I have to take out regularly because his bladder's not as good as it used to be. So I know everybody's, so it's like when I knew my managers, I knew what the problems were and how much nurturing they would need, etc. So I look at my life and I say, okay, I need to plan it in that much detail, and I need to outsource as much as I can so that I don't feel under pressure. Then I need to put myself as the number one priority. I've got to look after myself. And I need to plan that in my diary, the looking after myself time, so that it gets done. Why? Because if I don't look after me, I can't look after everybody else. So that's my philosophy. And it was the same when I was a divisional executive. Yeah, I needed to look after me because I wasn't going filling shelves in these stores. I wasn't going to go and help the managers to run a checkout. I was going in to help them to develop their sales, to manage their labor costs, to minimize their shrinkage, and to become better managers. So I was a coach. I wasn't a doer, I was an advisor. So I needed to be well rested, on my game, 100% on my game, and available when they needed me. And it's the same for you in your life and your business. You actually are the number one priority. If you look after yourself really, really well, then you are able to look after everybody else better. That is why when I'm planning my diary, dog walks go in first. My self-care, my meditation, my gratitude, my violet hour in the evening, my gold zone in the morning, my lashes and brows appointments, my hair appointments, yeah, me using the downtime, all of that is so that I can look after everybody else. Now, I have a cleaner. I outsource things I don't need to do. I have a cleaner so that I don't have to spend hours every week cleaning my house. She's probably the most important person in my life. I flick around with the Hoover in the morning and clear the pots and put the washing in. It takes me 15, 20 minutes every single day to do that. I don't mind doing that. What I don't want to do is a major clean once a week. That's important to me. That frees me to be able to do something more important. I pay her well and I look after her well because she's important to not only me, but to the rest of the family. I do not then have to schedule cleaning into my diary other than that morning 15, 20 minutes. I have now outsourced a lot of the administrative, scheduling social media, technology tasks to my new team member, my digital artisan. Why? So that I can be that leader, that coach to my clients, to the people that are coming into my world, into my business, so that I can help them better, be present for them, and be there 100% with my best tool, my best skill, which is my brain. So my brain is not sharp if I'm not well rested. If I'm feeling overwhelmed in my planning and my diary, my brain is not sharp enough. So that's why it's important when you are planning and becoming the master of the to-done list that you look after you first and foremost. And one of my other top tips to you guys when planning is not to say yes to things that don't add value to your workload or your life. This is really important, particularly as women, particularly as creative women. We say yes in general to more things that we really need than we really need to. And you've got to be really strategic when you're asked to do things. Because if you're doing something that isn't adding loads of value, what if something comes up that would add loads of value and you are doing something else? You've got to be really confident and really picky in what you decide to bring into your life that impacts on the other things. So somebody had called me up on Thursday or Friday last week and said, any chance that you could do this for a couple of hours on Monday or Tuesday? I'd have said, no, I'm sorry. Because my diary's full of red things. I need to get those done. I'm not prepared to let anything else in. The things that I've put in my diary are important to me and important to my business. And that includes the networking meeting I was at yesterday, because that was about me interacting in person with other women, like-minded women who I can help or can help me, and then having a meeting with somebody about something big that I'm organizing with her. So there was a lot of really important, there's nothing that was going to actually come and impact on that. I got back earlier than I expected to, so I was able to squeeze a should do in before tea time. But I would not have said yes to anything that impacted on anything that was in my diary, because my diary is really important to me. My planning is important to me. And here's another one. I work from home. And for those ladies that work from home, and a lot of you creative ladies will do, it's so important that you communicate with the people that live in the same house as you that you are actually at work. and that they cannot keep coming into your office asking you your opinion on things or asking you to do things. And honestly, it's taken me months to train my family properly, and they're still not perfect. They're better than they were. Because when you work from home, they're just your mum and they think you're here at their every beck and call. And it's a transitional period moving from that you are available to actually I'm at work. And I say to them every morning, remember, I'm at work today, I'm at B&Q, you can't contact me, so don't even try. That's how it goes. And it's hard for them because that's letting me go, and it is hard for them because they care about me, but that's also really important, because when you allow those distractions in, that's where you don't get things done, and they end up on your to-do list and not on your to-done list. And the reason you need to become a master planner is that so that you can have time for you. You can have time to grow, to learn, and to be the creative genius that you actually are. Because while you're doing things that are not important, you're not doing things that are important. Top tips. Plan your planning time into your diary every week. When are you going to do it? Make it the same time every single week. I do it Friday morning. It's important that I get it done Friday morning. I know by Friday pretty much everything that's going to come up in my week for the following week. It takes me 1 hour Friday morning between 9 and 10 to plan the following week's diary in detail using my traffic light system. And every Friday morning, that's what I do. Unless Michelle's got a group call and I go on that at 9 till 10, I'll then do my diary at 10 till 11. But it gets done on a Friday morning. I know it's done. And then hopefully by Friday afternoon, I'm pulling in loads of nice to-dos and perhaps some of next week's should-dos or even next week's reds. That depends how my week goes, depends how many days I'm at hospital. But every week I allocate an hour. Now, before I outsourced all of my tech stuff to Nathan, my new digital artisan. I keep using his proper title. I used to block out 4 hours a week, 4 full hours, a half day's work, just to plan and schedule all my social media content. So if you look at your working week, there's 4 hours of social media content planning and scheduling, 1 hour of diary planning. That's 5 hours of work before I do anything else. And those things would go in my diary with the dog walk and all the other things that are important to me. So when you start to think of it like that, that's actually quite a few hours. You've got about then 15 hours worth of good stuff in there that allows you to be better, because A, you know what's happening, B, you know you're going to look after yourself, C, you're actually growing because you're listening to audiobooks, you're using your downtime effectively. For me, that works. I think for everybody that would work, but it's a discipline. So here we go. It's not the big stuff. It's really not the big stuff that makes people successful. It's the things that you're consistent with that make you successful. The fact that I do that week in, week out means it's an automatic habit and behavior for me to plan that diary on a Friday, to make sure that I put the dog walks in and my self-care in and my meditate. All of that just goes in. It never doesn't go in. Never doesn't go in. And if I've got to be somewhere earlier than my normal times, I pull everything forward and still do everything and get up however much earlier I need to, because it's essential for me to feel in control of my life and business. Now, none of this is difficult stuff. It's about setting the intent and agreeing to be consistent with yourself and disciplined with yourself, to allow yourself the time to do these things so that you can be better in the time that you do have available. So I hope that makes sense. Obviously, I'll be back in this live all throughout the week with all of these, with posts with more of this content in, because I believe it's probably the most, I genuinely believe this is one of the most important things you can do in your business and in your life is to be planned and organized. Because if you don't have a plan, you're going to fail. End of story. Because if you sit down at the start of the day, no matter what your business is, and you don't know what you're going to do first, second, third, how on earth will you know if you've succeeded? Ask yourself that question. How will you know how well you've done each day? And once you start to do this on these simple things on a regular basis, it's amazing the capacity of your brain and what you're able to do. I'm going to take you back to me being a divisional executive now, because I had 23 stores. So I had 23 store managers' names to remember. And I had 23 store managers' wives or husbands' names to remember, because it's important to have relationships with people where they feel valued. But I also made it my business to know the name of every single supervisor and department manager in all the stores and find out one fact about them that I could ask them a question on later on. And I used my diary. If I knew I was going to that store, I would make a note of who was there last time, who did I speak to. So when I was walking past them, I could say, oh, how's your wife? When's your baby due? Is it due this? Yeah, those are the things. That was all about being a master planner, about knowing the important stuff, about putting it somewhere where I could access it quickly, about planning my time really, really effectively, knowing what was going to happen, and having a clear vision and a clear strategy. So if you do nothing after this live and you do nothing after all the posts that I do this week, other than sit down for 1 hour a week and plan your diary, yeah, then you'll have made a big stride forward. Because that act is putting you into a routine of a successful person. Successful people just create habits. I've done this in previous weeks. They just create habits. The act of actually writing it down or typing it into a text system, if that's what you do, is going to create that habit. Being a master planner is about getting into a routine that creates the success for you and making decisions that allow you to look after yourself really, really well. So I hope that's helped you tonight. I hope that you've got something from that. I don't have any magical sprinkle dust or anything like that that's going to turn you into a planner, because it is common sense. But I never assume that everybody automatically knows everything or automatically does everything. And I want you to do the same. Sharing your knowledge, no matter how unimportant you think it is, can be extremely powerful for somebody who's not where you are. So you have a duty to share that with the world. Now, I teach this in my signature program, as well as many, many other things. But this is one of the first things I teach, because getting organized means that you can achieve more. Planning really well and becoming a master at it allows you to achieve more in your life. And people do ask me, Amanda, how have you ever managed to get so many qualifications, or do you get this done? And I'm just like, I plan it. It goes in my diary. If I want to write a book, yeah, I wrote my book last year in 10 weeks. How? I planned the time to do it, and I used my downtime really effectively. And everywhere I went, I took my laptop or my notebook so that I could write something. Everywhere. I wrote half of that book at the Freeman Hospital on my laptop at hospital appointments with Gary. Because I could sit reading a woman's magazine at the hospital at Gary, or reading a newspaper, couldn't I? Or I could sit on the train when I'm going to meetings reading a newspaper or a magazine. But that actually, for me, terrifies me as something that's not going to add value to my life. That downtime can be used more effectively. If I want to read a woman's magazine, I can do it in my violet hour in the evening. Yeah, that's when I can do it. That's the good time. That's my wind down time. So anyway, I'm going to stop rambling on now. I just hope that this has struck a chord with some of you. And if it does, and if it makes you go away and think about things a little bit differently, even if it stops you multitasking, ladies. Please think about that, because you will be far more productive when you stop doing that. If it does, please drop me a message and say, that made a difference, Mandy. Because nobody ever does, and it would be really good to know that it has made a difference to somebody. That's why I do this every week, sharing my knowledge. I'm not doing it because I like sitting in front of a camera. Believe me, this is in my violet hour. I'd rather be on the couch with my husband right now. But I'm talking to you because I've committed to do this. This is in my diary. Every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Every Monday, 7 p.m. group call with my clients. Every Tuesday, live. That's in my diary. It gets done. It's in my diary. It gets done. It's now on my to-done list because I'm going now and I've done this. So I don't have to think about doing it again for another week. Feels good, that. And that's what it's all about, feeling good. So have a wonderful evening, what's left of it. Hope it's not too awful, the weather in your area. And I hope that you all get your diaries out and have a look at them for a good hour this week for the following week. I'll see you all next week, same time, where I'm going to be talking about manifesting everything that you want in your life for an abundant, successful, and happy future. So I'll see you all then.